For us, these are the descriptions of what good and effective assessment can help teachers and learners achieve. And this has been the basis of a new assessment system and policy that we have embarked on this year. The policy represents nearly a year of work, taking into account the national picture, drawing on the expertise of our Vice Chair of Governors, who has years of experience leading primaries, and with the support of a consultant. Importantly, it reflects our experience of assessment and reporting over the last few years here, and we hope it is reflective of our values. At the heart of this policy, our aims are clear. We want to provide clear structure and strategy so that each student is on track to achieve their potential by the end of Key Stage 3. We are a school that continues with a Key Stage 3 curriculum, enabling coverage of the national curriculum, depth of content and understanding, lingering longer on some of the most important skills to achieve at the highest levels at Key Stage 4. Last summer, our Year 11 students left with grades that placed them higher than the national average, with an average grade of just higher than a 5 or a strong pass. Nearly 20% of our Year 11 cohort achieved the highest grades in both English and maths. They had sat a series of assessments and papers, all in their GCSE subjects, with our teacher assessments being endorsed by the national examining bodies. We have 2 assessment or reporting points in the year. These result in a report that comes to you. At this point, we draw on the assessments that have been going on in lessons to arrive at a holistic judgment on progress. A key decision we've made, the important basis for all of this, is that we are assessing the taught curriculum, checking that students are making progress with what they are learning now, rather than tracking progress towards or making predictions in relation to GCSE grades. Assessments will be common across the year groups in subjects, and therefore will give us insights into strengths of individuals, groups, and of our own curriculum. Of course, this means we can see what interventions might be necessary and if and how to make adjustments through teaching and learning. We know that parents and carers are keen to understand where GCSE targets or flight paths are. We, as a number of schools nationally are, have moved away from flight paths in Key Stage 3. They were a suitable response when the government brought in new progress measures for schools going back to 2016. But changes to the way that Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 4 progress has been measured, or not, over the pandemic, gave schools pause to look at what needed to change. Reviews in schools and our experience here suggested that flight paths or targets can cap aspiration, can set limits on what students of all abilities feel they can or should achieve. Students do not make progress in a linear fashion at the same time, and so for some there will be feelings of despondency and disappointment when we report they're not looking like they're making progress towards GCSE targets. What is really important to us, particularly with a backdrop of school closure owing to the pandemic, is looking at data in Year 7 and 8 that predicts how a student might perform in approximately 4 years' time, does not allow us to clearly identify gaps in skills and knowledge and intervene accordingly. The work we are doing, our curriculum and assessment, is informed by knowing what targets might be expected for students in schools performing in the top 25% nationally. This is a national data set. We will use this to establish minimum expected grades, targets, in the spring term of Year 9. These will reflect the progress that students have made in Key Stage 3. At this point, we will share these MEGs, or targets, with you, and we will report against them as students transition into GCSE courses and types of assessment. This quotation here is at the heart of what we are striving for, reflecting our curriculum and the assessment of it. To assess student progress, we establish a starting point. This is done with the information from primary schools. Had been Key Stage 2 tests, but more recently teacher assessments. It's the starting point that helps us arrive at a judgment about progress. This is a measure for all schools between the end of Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 4. We have used CATs, cognitive ability tests, to to get an understanding of each individual child's strengths and learning potential. Each child has a score in 4 areas that can be compared to national benchmarks and between individuals. We can use the scores to get a full picture of how to help learners make progress. With the support of the national database, we can use these data as a starting point, a baseline for each learner. They also give an indication of minimum expected grades at Key Stage 4 for students across the range of different scores. While it's important that we have these baselines and the insights from the CAT scores, our belief is very much in the potential of all our learners, regardless of their starting points. Regardless of this, we will get them to the highest possible endpoints. When we're reporting on progress, we are reporting that in light of the student's own baseline. It's their progress. Unlike Key Stage 2, when the expected standard meant a certain threshold that students met or didn't, here the progress is in relation to what we would expect of the student at that moment, bearing in mind their starting point. Making expected progress is a very, very good sign in what is year on year a more challenging curriculum. If in a sequence of reports a child is making expected progress, then it's a good sign indicating they are making progress as work and assessment becomes more difficult. We are really pleased that our current Year 8, when asked at the end of Year 7 here about their progress, nearly 80% of them felt that they were making progress in all of their lessons. Our new policy and practice places the right emphasis on attitude to learning and being Wangels ready. It's very important to us that students appreciate the links between excellent attitude to learning, and which is being prepared to try, being resilient when challenges arise, and good progress. We hope that you have an insight into the cogs now that put our curriculum, assessment and reporting into motion. You will also see on reports personal development goals as students work towards acquiring points for all of our values: respect, pride, resilience and kindness.